Yeah, haven't done a review in a while in which my nipples are exposed, so I figured it was due time for that, seeing as how I'm gonna have to be subjected to Woody Harrelson's bald head this whole movie. I'm so sick right now. I'm probably dying. Anyway, strap yourselves in, because today was certainly one of the most controversial movies of the 90s, if not of all time. So of course it's got to be on this dumb old channel. I'm speaking, of course, about natural born killers, man. Partied a little comet party last night. That's okay. Oh no, this isn't my throw up. This is a cat's throw up. What, is this too intense for you right now, bro? Too graphic? Then you're gonna wanna turn off this video and not watch. Yeah, that's right. I'm wearing the kilt today. Random cultural appropriation for no good reason. Much like most of the fads of the 90s. One such fad was 1994's movie Natural Born Killers, as I awkwardly sit on the side of this bed here. Directed by Oliver Stone. It's a sort of satirical black comedy drama thriller action thing. I don't know, it's really hard to define actually. The script was originally written by Quentin Tarantino and was then rewritten and revised, though not too drastically, by Oliver Stone. The two of them are by no means strangers to controversy, especially with respect to the depiction of violence on screen. And it's pretty safe to say that they both really like it. I think by this time Tarantino had already put out this movie, but it was still pre this one. And not surprisingly, today's film is another one to show up on those lists of most disturbing or upsetting or controversial or divisive movies of all time. As the title implies, you're in store for a lot of bloody murder. So much so that Stone was actually forced to remove a sizable portion of on-screen violence in order to get an R rating in the first place. And our film stars Juliette Lewis, Woody Harrelson, Tommy Lee Jones, Robert Downey Jr., Rodney Dangerfield, as a matter of fact. Even Stephen Wright pops up at one point. Basically, the plot is Juliette Lewis and Woody Harrelson's characters fall in love and go off on a killing spree, while at the same time Robert Downey Jr.'s character is head of a news media outlet of some kind and tries to push forth this agenda to worship the two of them and look up to them as admirable celebrities. Keeping in mind this was also still, during the era where shows like Real TV and stuff like that were still coming up. There's all sorts of legends surrounding the actual production of the movie. People almost dropping out or horrible things happening to them in their personal lives while making the movie. But even a short search will lead to conflicting stories, for example, about Rodney Dangerfield's experience on working on the movie. I don't want to take away due credit for, a visionary filmmaker or, perfectionist, but there's a thin line between that and being a prickly dick. I think my main problem with this movie is its ever-shifting and ever-floundering sense of trying to find tone. We're just kind of getting every filmmaking experiment all thrown into one, layered audio, black and white, video, crazy editing. Although there's not really a point to it, I can kind of get behind the layered audio idea. I mean, that's kind of fun and it's entertaining to actually listen to with headphones on. You'll pick up on things a lot easier that way, and it's even more overwhelming. But I just don't care for Lewis or Harrelson's characters whatsoever. I find them gratingly annoying, even though it really seems like the filmmakers were trying to make you like them as much as possible. That said, Lewis and Harrelson do absolutely fine in their roles. I mean, it's definitely, a good launch pad for a bunch of roles thereafter. I can't really argue with that. They stay consistent and, they give it their all. But then you've got someone like Tommy Lee Jones, who's just woefully miscast as, the prison warden or whatever it is, and he's doing this over the top like, Mein Führer, I can walk again! But okay, that's nothing compared to Robert Downey Jr.'s interpretation of his character. Jesus Christ, holy moly, motherfuck. so over the top, so reaching and grabbing at straws and over the top. His character's first line goes something like this: "We'll tell the fucking thumb-sucking mongrel maggot public what to believe, whether they like it or not." Gee, I wonder if I should be taking note of this character's tone and intent of what he's saying. He doesn't seem like such a good guy. In doing a little bit of research for this, I came upon a website that said, hey, did you notice that throughout this whole movie, something's not quite right? The camera is always tilted a little bit to create what's called a Dutch angle shot. And did you notice? Nothing but Dutch angle shots the whole movie. Yes! Yes, I did notice that, actually. It gets very, very tiresome very fast. Look, man. Stone throws in everything in this movie that he possibly can. As I was saying, there's the layered audio. There's that weird sitcom flashback, which, by the way, was a chance to kind of establish the backstory of the characters, make us understand their predicament or where they are in their lives a little bit more, but instead we do this weird, like, I Love Lucy sort of sitcom thing where they have, like, maniacal laughter going over lines about how Rodney Dangerfield is going to molest his daughter, and, like, that automatically, it's like, I could just see, like, watching this with people, and, like, if you're not also laughing maniacally at it, then it's like, what? Is this, like, too much for you, or, like, what? Literally at one point, because, as I said, I listened to this with headphones on, you can hear, like, like, they just dial it back a little bit, man. So we've got the sitcom thing, the weird audio, the shitty black and white lagging 90s camera cutting to that ever so often. I don't know, man. Who knows? Constantly, like, throwing in these subliminal shots of, like, a devil face screaming. Like, ah! And look, man, Stone was in a phase of his directing career where he just loved to do all this, like, sort of dreamlike and that glowy quality to it. And, you know, a movie like this, not everyone likes it, and sure, it's quite historically inaccurate, and he came off as a dick once again, but the actual feeling of the movie and the feeling of the 60s, I feel, was actually very well captured. It had this kind of, like, creepy, dark undertone to it. But this, man, is just too much. Now, look, I'm not a high-profile, well-sought-after director. Hey, where's everyone going? Stop! Okay, I am... well, I've directed some films. I'm not a director, so you don't have to listen to me, Oliver Stone, on how to make your movies, but it just seems to me that the point of having the Dutch angle shot in the first place is that it's very surprising when it happens out of nowhere, and it's supposed to induce this feeling of unease, and like, something's not quite right here, an otherworldliness. Okay, fair enough. If you do that the whole movie, it loses all effect. After a while, it just becomes fucking annoying. You know what other movie had nothing but Dutch angle shots? How did that turn out for Battyfield's Earths? It's a damn heavy-handed effort. And look, there's a real thin line between a rock and roll, wild, throw all your chips in crazy movie and, you know, social commentary. And in a movie like this, okay, they're not going to go the subtle route, they're going to go the over-the-top route. But even then, there could have been some restraint or just some focus. But I can already foresee how this is going to end. Oliver Stone's smiling face saying, I'm sorry, no, you did not understand the point of the film. You've got subplots going on with the cops. The movie had, you know, like an hour into it, it's like, okay, now, part 2. Oh boy, this is where the real social and cultural commentary comes in. At least the movie had an aesthetic that it clings to throughout the whole movie and never really gives up, and hey, the movie was able to inspire some fashions, one of which was to fucking kill people. But can you really blame the filmmakers for that? I want to say yes, but I can't. But seriously, fuck you. I think the most common takeaway from this movie is that people will say Stone just ended up kind of making the movie, which is the sort of thing that the movie is supposed to be criticizing, which, yeah, I can agree with that. However, I think just the filmmaking technique and style surrounding it is what annoys me more than anything. I can commend the filmmakers for trying to make a movie that sort of criticizes our culture or tries to find the answer as to why do we look up to these people. And I'm all for holding popular media outlets accountable for things that they say and the repercussions, but it just feels like Stone had a little bit too much fun making this movie and killing all these people. And I just don't feel any vindication after, or feel like anything's been resolved, or that there's any point to the movie other than just having a gore fest. Al Gore. Algorithm. And I'm not sure the story is terribly original either. I mean, we had Bonnie and Clyde, those were two pretty famous people, and then that was of course made into a movie, and again, I'm sure there's been film noirs like this back in the 40s or whenever. And look, Tarantino and Stone, they've done plenty of good with their filmmaking, and I like how Stone is always trying to like be that guy to be the thorn in the side of the establishment. I even reviewed a movie called Fun from the same year, 1994, which was very similar to this movie. It had, you know, in that case, two teenage girls who kill an old lady, but it kind of similarly moves back and forth chronologically and, you know, moves in between the shitty, like, MTV 90s videotape and then actual film. I just imagine Oliver Stone being that guy at Thanksgiving dinner who just starts going off about conspiracy theories that no one really wanted to talk about. And at first he's right and you agree with him, but you kind of keep quiet, but then he starts talking about, like, did you see the Obama deception? It's just like, alright, dude. Time to just pass the mashed potatoes and shut the hell up. But he's kind of become that guy now. He made the George W. Bush movie recently. Of course, before that he had all the Vietnam movies and the JFK movie, and now he has an Edward Snowden movie coming out, apparently. Hey man, fight the power. Do what needs to be done. It's good to have a voice like yours. I don't know, man. All in all, the idea just seems too heavily labored over, and like there's not much to it, even though they tried to fit in so much information into one movie. I don't know. Maybe perhaps under Tarantino's direction it would have been more bare bones and more focused and a little bit more fluid. But here it's just kind of like, look at all this stuff I learned at Poopy Poop Film School. Stop killing each other, brothers and sisters. We need to come together. And, okay. Camera off. I'm going to out the window. Goodbye.